There is something strange that happens right before a chosen one steps into a higher level of purpose. The doubt suddenly becomes louder than ever before. Thoughts you thought you already conquered begin returning again. Confidence weakens. Fear increases. You start questioning your decisions, your calling, your worth, and even whether you were ever truly chosen at all. And what makes it so dangerous is that the battle feels internal, which causes most people to believe the doubt belongs to them. But Archangel Michael wants you to understand something powerful today. Not every thought in your mind speaks with your voice. Some battles are spiritual attacks against identity itself, because the enemy understands a truth many people overlook. If he can make a chosen one doubt themselves long enough, he can delay the destiny attached to their life without ever physically touching them. That is why the attack focused so heavily on your confidence lately. The enemy is not threatened by the version of you that stays fearful, small, insecure, and uncertain. He fears the version of you that fully accepts who heaven already declared you to be. The moment a chosen one stops apologizing for their calling, their authority begins activating spiritually. And that is exactly why confusion increased before your breakthrough arrived. The warfare was never random. It was resistance reacting to your potential. Every overthinking cycle, every moment of insecurity, every wave of emotional heaviness was targeting one thing specifically: your identity. Because identity controls direction. The moment you forget who you are spiritually, you begin shrinking yourself emotionally. You start hesitating where you should move boldly. You start seeking permission for things heaven already assigned to you. But here is the deeper truth hidden beneath the battle. The intensity of the doubt actually reveals the importance of your assignment. Ordinary people are rarely attacked at the level chosen ones are. The pressure increased because your spirit carries something powerful enough to threaten what once tried controlling your life. And now heaven is calling you to recognize the attack for what it truly is. Not proof that you are weak, but proof that your destiny is real. One of the deepest wounds chosen ones carry is not failure. It is rejection. The feeling of being misunderstood, overlooked, disconnected, or treated like they never truly belonged anywhere. And after enough painful experiences, many begin silently questioning themselves. They wonder if something is wrong with them. They wonder why relationships feel temporary, why certain people pull away without explanation, or why they often feel emotionally separate even while surrounded by others. But what Archangel Michael needs you to understand today is this: human rejection cannot cancel divine selection. Your name was chosen long before people misunderstood your spirit, long before doors closed, long before betrayal entered your life. Heaven already knew your assignment before the world ever formed an opinion about you. And that is why so many of your experiences felt isolating from the beginning. Chosen ones were never designed to fully blend into environments that conflict with their purpose. Their energy disrupts comfortable illusions. Their presence exposes hidden motives. Their growth challenges stagnant people. And because of that, they often experience rejection not because they are worthless, but because their spirit carries something different that ordinary environments cannot fully understand. That is why certain rooms always felt emotionally heavy to you. Why some friendships became distant after your mindset started evolving. Why some people celebrated you only when you stayed small, uncertain, or easy to control. The moment your confidence deepened or your awareness expanded, the energy shifted around you. And at first it felt painful. It felt personal. But spiritually it was separation, not abandonment. Archangel Michael is reminding you that many of the doors that closed were never punishment. They were protection. Some relationships had expiration dates attached to them from the very beginning. Some environments could only carry the older version of you, not the person heaven was preparing you to become. And if certain people walked away, it is because your destiny required space they were never spiritually equipped to enter. That truth hurts deeply because chosen ones naturally desire connection. They want loyalty. They want understanding. They want to believe people can grow together peacefully. But not everyone is assigned to travel the full journey with you. Some people are only temporary lessons designed to strengthen discernment, boundaries, and self-worth before the next season begins. And the longer you resist that truth, the more emotionally trapped you become inside, places your spirit already outgrew. That is why heaven allowed the rejection to happen. Because if every person had stayed, you may have never discovered who you truly were without needing external validation to survive emotionally. Isolation forced you inward. It forced you to stop depending on applause, approval, and belonging as confirmation of your identity. And while that process felt lonely, it also awakened spiritual strength most people never develop. You began learning how to stand alone without collapsing internally. You began discovering purpose beyond popularity. You began hearing your own spirit more clearly once the noise of unhealthy attachment faded. And that is where transformation quietly started, because Archangel Michael wants you to stop interpreting rejection as evidence of failure. Sometimes rejection is heaven removing distractions from your path before elevation arrives. Sometimes distance is alignment, sometimes isolation is preparation. And the deeper truth is this: what God has assigned to your life does not require universal acceptance to become real. Your calling was never dependent on public approval. Your destiny was never waiting for everyone to understand you first. Heaven chose your name before humans formed opinions about you. That means no betrayal can erase your purpose. No rejection can cancel your assignment. No closed door can destroy what God already established spiritually. And once a chosen one finally understands that, something powerful begins happening internally. They stop begging to belong in places they were meant to outgrow. They stop shrinking themselves to maintain temporary connections. They stop doubting their value because someone else failed to recognize it. Instead, they begin walking with the quiet confidence of someone who finally understands that divine selection always outweighs human rejection. There is a reason the warfare around your life suddenly became heavier. A reason your mind felt exhausted, even when your body was resting. A reason fear, confusion, emotional pressure, and unexpected setbacks started appearing all at once. Most people think these moments mean they are failing spiritually, but Archangel Michael wants you to see the deeper truth hidden beneath the pressure. The warfare intensified because your next level is close. Darkness reacts when heaven begins elevating a chosen one into greater alignment, authority, and purpose. The enemy does not panic over people who remain spiritually asleep, emotionally distracted, or trapped inside cycles that keep them disconnected from their calling. Resistance increases when movement begins. And whether you fully realized it or not, your spirit has already started moving toward something bigger than your current reality. That is why the attacks became more personal lately. Notice how the pressure targeted your peace first. Your confidence became unstable. Your thoughts became heavier. Old fears suddenly returned. Unexpected tension appeared in relationships. Delays increased. Distractions multiplied. It felt like invisible resistance was trying to drain your focus before something important could fully manifest. And spiritually, that is exactly what was happening. Because the enemy understands a dangerous truth about chosen ones. The moment they fully awaken to their identity, they become much harder to manipulate through fear, insecurity, emotional dependency, or confusion. That is why the battle focused on exhausting you mentally before your breakthrough arrived physically. Hell attacks identity before destiny manifests externally. And if you look closely at your life, you will notice a pattern that keeps repeating. The greatest attacks often came right before major transformation, right before you outgrew toxic environments, right before healing entered your life, right before your mindset shifted permanently, right before opportunities appeared that changed your direction forever. The pressure was never random. It was resistance reacting to transition. Because spiritually, darkness can often sense movement before humans fully recognize it themselves. Your spirit was evolving beyond the version of you the enemy once controlled easily. And that evolution threatened old cycles attached to your life. Suddenly, the things that once distracted you stopped satisfying you emotionally. The validation you once chased started losing power over your decisions. Certain relationships began feeling spiritually draining instead of comforting. Your awareness deepened. Your discernment sharpened. Your peace became more valuable than temporary approval. And the enemy recognized those changes immediately. That is why confusion intensified. Because confusion delays movement. Fear creates hesitation. Emotional exhaustion weakens confidence. The enemy wanted you distracted enough to abandon the transformation before it fully completed. But what darkness underestimated was this: pressure does not always destroy chosen ones. Sometimes pressure awakens them. Sometimes the very warfare designed to break their spirit becomes the reason they finally recognize their strength. Because every battle forced you deeper into discernment. Every setback strengthened your resilience. Every season of confusion pushed you closer to spiritual clarity. You were not collapsing, you were being refined. And Archangel Michael needs you to understand something critical right now. The pressure surrounding your life is not evidence that heaven abandoned you. It is evidence that movement is already happening spiritually. The enemy attacks hardest before losing access to a person completely. That is why the warfare feels intense right before elevation. Something inside you is changing permanently. Your identity is becoming stronger than your fear. Your spirit is becoming louder than your insecurity. Your discernment is becoming sharper than the illusions that once distracted you. And deep down, darkness senses what your mind is only beginning to understand now. The version of you heaven called into existence is getting closer to fully emerging. That is why the attacks increased. Because your next level threatens everything that once tried keeping you small, uncertain, and spiritually asleep. One of the greatest traps chosen ones fall into is believing they must compete for something God already assigned to them spiritually. That is where comparison begins destroying confidence quietly from the inside. You start measuring your journey against other people's timelines. You question your value because someone else received recognition faster. You shrink your gifts because others seem more accepted, more visible, or more celebrated publicly. And slowly, without realizing it, you begin seeking permission from people who were never given authority over your destiny in the first place. But Archangel Michael is sending a message many chosen ones desperately need to hear right now. You were never meant to compete for a position heaven already prepared for your spirit long before you arrived physically. Your assignment was not created through public opinion. It was not voted into existence by society. And it cannot be stolen simply because someone else appears ahead temporarily. What belongs to you spiritually will always find its way toward you once alignment is complete. That is why comparison is so spiritually dangerous. It distracts chosen ones from their own path by making them obsess over someone else's journey. Instead of developing their own authority, they start chasing imitation. Instead of honoring their unique calling, they begin reshaping themselves to fit environments that were never designed for them. And the more they force themselves to blend into places that conflict with their assignment, the more disconnected they become from their own spirit. That is why so many chosen ones feel emotionally exhausted around people who constantly pressure them to become smaller, quieter, safer, or more socially acceptable. Their spirit was never designed for limitation disguised as belonging. Deep down, you have always sensed that something about your life was different. That is why ordinary goals never fully satisfied your soul for long. Even when you tried fitting into certain systems, conversations, or environments, something inside you always felt restless. You could survive there temporarily, but your spirit never truly settled there permanently. And that discomfort was not failure. It was divine separation. Heaven was preventing you from building your identity around spaces you were eventually meant to outgrow. Because chosen ones waste years trying to earn validation from people incapable of recognizing their assignment spiritually. They seek approval from environments threatened by their growth. They apologize for gifts that were meant to transform lives. They dim their energy to make insecure people comfortable. And all the while, heaven is waiting for them to realize one powerful truth. Divine assignments do not require human permission. What God placed inside you was intentional from the very beginning. Your calling is not an accident. Your perspective is not random. Your sensitivity, your discernment, your resilience, your ability to see beyond surface-level reality, all of it carries purpose attached to it. And no amount of rejection can erase what heaven already established spiritually. That is why Archangel Michael is telling you to stop shrinking yourself emotionally every time the world fails to understand your path. You are not behind. You are not disqualified. You are not losing simply because your journey looks different from everyone else's. Some assignments require longer preparation because the impact attached to them is greater. And the deeper truth is this: what is truly meant for you cannot be blocked permanently by another person's success, opinion, or visibility. Heaven does not confuse assignments. God does not accidentally give your purpose to someone else. Your path may unfold differently, but it will unfold exactly as it was designed to once alignment is complete. And the moment a chosen one finally accepts that internally, something shifts powerfully inside them. They stop chasing validation from rooms they were sent to outgrow. They stop competing with people whose journey was never meant to mirror their own. They stop apologizing for the space their spirit naturally occupies. Instead, they begin walking with the quiet confidence of someone who finally understands. They were chosen by heaven long before the world ever learned their name. The hardest part about becoming who heaven called you to be is that the future version of you often feels unfamiliar before it feels natural. That is why chosen ones struggle so deeply with self-doubt during seasons of transformation. Your spirit senses that you are changing, but your old identity keeps fighting to remain in control. Part of you wants to step fully into your calling, but another part still fears visibility, responsibility, and the weight of becoming someone greater than the version you spent years emotionally identifying with. And this is exactly where Archangel Michael is speaking to you now. The version of yourself you fear becoming is the very version heaven needs you to embrace. Because your future cannot open while you continue shrinking yourself to protect old fears, old insecurities, and outdated identities. For too long, you have been asking heaven for confirmation while secretly resisting the transformation required to carry the blessing attached to your calling. You prayed for elevation but feared standing out. You asked for purpose but doubted your ability to carry influence. You wanted breakthrough, but emotionally stayed attached to the smaller version of yourself that felt safer, more familiar, and less exposed. And that internal conflict created exhaustion inside your spirit. Because deep down, you already know you have outgrown the person you used to be. That is why old environments feel uncomfortable now. That is why certain conversations drain you instead of inspiring you. That is why your spirit reacts differently to things you once tolerated easily. Your soul is evolving beyond the emotional limits your old identity depended on. But transformation becomes painful when the mind keeps trying to return to a version of life heaven already closed spiritually. And many chosen ones remain stuck for years, not because God abandoned them, but because they continue apologizing for the calling attached to their life. They keep minimizing their gifts to avoid judgment. They silence their intuition to remain accepted socially. They delay their own elevation because becoming powerful spiritually feels unfamiliar emotionally. But Archangel Michael wants you to understand something clearly. The future version of you already exists spiritually. Heaven already sees the healed version, the confident version, the disciplined version, the spiritually aligned version, the version capable of carrying influence, abundance, wisdom, leadership, and purpose without collapsing under pressure. God is not trying to create that person from nothing. He is trying to pull you into alignment with who you were always meant to become. That is why the discomfort has intensified lately. Your old identity can no longer contain your future assignment. And every season of pressure, confusion, and internal warfare has been pushing you toward one decision specifically. Will you continue doubting what heaven already confirmed, or will you finally accept who God called you to be? Because breakthrough often begins the moment chosen ones stop asking for permission to exist at their full spiritual capacity. The moment they stop shrinking themselves emotionally to fit spaces they were designed to outgrow. The moment they stop interpreting their sensitivity, depth, or difference as weakness instead of recognizing it as spiritual design. That is when authority activates internally. That is when confidence stops depending on validation. That is when fear begins losing control over destiny. And maybe that is why this message found you right now. Because Archangel Michael is reminding you of something your pain, rejection, and self-doubt tried to erase for far too long. Your name was already chosen before your fear ever existed. Your assignment was already established before people misunderstood you. And the future waiting for you requires the version of yourself you have been afraid to fully embrace. The question is no longer whether heaven chose you. The real question is whether you are finally ready to stop doubting what God already decided about your life long ago.